From the American Riviera in Santa Barbara, California, it's Ken Boxer Live with your host, Ken Boxer, and co-host, two-time Olympian Ty Babilonia. Please welcome Ken and Ty.
Thank you. And welcome to our show. I'm Ken Boxer and my lovely and very talented co-host, Ty Babilonia. Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
I should say five-time national champion.
That's right.
And world champion figure skater.
Yes.
God, okay.
It seems like ages ago. It just seemed, we were young. We were really young when all that happened.
But I got to tell you, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. A while ago, and people still recognize you for doing all of that. In fact, where were you this last week?
I was just in Aspen, Colorado, and doing a skating seminar, and I worked with a lot of adults and a lot of like 5-year-old and 6-year-olds. And it was great to get the skates back on, and Aspen is absolutely lovely. I had a great time.
And you just got back. I mean, you just literally
got back
got
last
the plane.
night. Yes.
Well, we're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I made
Angeles.
it. I'm glad I made it.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
Look at
Wendy
you.
Foster.
Thank you, Wendy Foster.
Thank you, Wendy Foster. Love it. Love it.
Who do we have on the show tonight? Tell
Oh
me.
my gosh. Tonight our guest was the star of Battlestar Galactica, my friend, Richard Hatch.
Yes. Very
And
good.
we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor, so don't move. Richard Hatch will be in the studio.
Live, yes.
Live!
Ken Boxer Live, brought to you in part by DCH Lexus of Santa Barbara, providing Santa Barbarans and surrounding locations with prestigious luxury cars, SUVs, and hybrid vehicles. American Riviera Bank. Feel good about your bank. Real estate agents Julie Barnes and Jeff Oien, Village Properties Realtors. Now back to Ken Boxer Live.
Good to have you. Thank you for coming back. And we have tonight the very talented actor, writer, director, producer, and teacher, Richard Hatch, joining us tonight. Richard, of course, is best known for his roles as Captain Apollo and Tom Zarek from the TV series Battlestar Galactica. Now, you may recognize our guests from such shows as The Streets of San Francisco, All My Children, Mary Hartman, and the soap opera, can you believe it, Santa Barbara. Let's now welcome the Obie award-winning actor and former Golden Globe nominee, Richard Hatch. Welcome to the show.
More than welcome. Great to be here. Hello, Ty. Good to see you again.
Okay. I saw that. How do you two know each other? How did that? I mean, I know you're friends. How did that?
We actually went out once. We had a date.
We had a date.
I do.
You didn't tell me, Ty.
I know. Well,
She never told me this. Wait a second.
It would be a little. I
Am
thought.
I blushing?
Yes, you are.
We had a little kissy face
Yeah, we did.
moment,
Yeah, it was very nice.
and he's a great kisser.
But I realized I could never live up to, a 2-time Olympic winner and all that
Right.
good stuff.
Oh, please, Richard,
am I
look
gonna
at.
do?
Oh, you're a
Look at-
superstar. Stop it.
Jennifer Aniston has written all about her lovers and who shows up well in bed and who doesn't. And I thought, what's going to happen with her? The same thing. I'll be all over the rag magazine.
You may end up in my book.
God knows.
Uh-oh.
You don't know.
But
maybe.
how far did it go? Can we say?
How far did what go?
No, we
Well,
only
the book.
We only went to like.
What would you
fifth
write in the
base,
book?
right?
Just a date?
It was just.
I'm going to
kissing.
embarrass you,
And-
Ty.
No.
I want to hear about
He
this.
was a great
swore I
kisser.
thought-
I was honored.
Really?
You know who set us up? Christy Jenkins.
That's right.
Christy Jenkins. So
Hey.
we had a couple of dates. It was wonderful.
Okay. Well, part of
It
your
was fun.
history, you were a heartthrob. You run 16 magazine, Tiger Beat. I mean, that's years ago. You were like the heartthrob.
Every
of these
actor
young.
lives to be in 16 magazine and Tiger Beat. Yes, and then we spend the next 30 years trying to live it down.
But she was.
Yeah.
Look at what a star she was. When she was making it as an Olympian, you were 15 or 16.
Can I tell you?
Yes. What?
I'm probably the only straight guy who loves ice skating and ballet and all that stuff because I studied ballet for 3 years.
Well, I was going to bring that
And
up.
gymnastics.
Richard was a ballet dancer.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't
Yes
find
way.
that in my
That's right.
research.
I wanted to
Yes.
be Baryshnikov.
You wanted.
I
when?
wanted to be. I want to be that guy
Junior
that
high
leaped
school.
10 miles
high school. When?
Well, actually, when I started to get interested in acting, somebody said, you know, you should really study dance, movement, all that stuff. So somebody took me to a ballet class, and I thought, my God, all these beautiful girls.
Right.
That's
you
the
know,
way to
I
be.
said, this
Yeah.
is,
Right.
you know, and so I ended up hanging around for a while. And I started getting into it, and then somebody told me, if you really want to do this, Richard, and I was pretty good. I was a high jumper and a gymnast, so I could do a lot of things very quickly. But having the line and the technique, that takes a lot more training. And they said you'd have to train full time to get it. And I was starting to get into singing and acting and all that stuff. And I thought, I can't commit fully to just dance. So I ended up just dating ballet girls for a long, long time.
And a skater.
And a skater. And a skater.
Well, when you
yes.
when you talk, I know you teach. So do you tell your students they have to be well-rounded in all those areas?
Well, you know something, I'm one of those guys that I don't teach. I teach an eclectic method, but the biggest method I do is that most people use about 2% of their talent. Most people use 2% of their abilities. Fear, insecurity, all that negative programming from childhood gets in the way of people using their full potential. So I teach workshops and seminars, and I'm really good at empathetically connecting to people, helping them to connect to that part of themselves where they hold back, and just giving them that support they need to take those steps that open the door to using more of who they are, more of their talent, and it leads to bigger success for
Well,
them.
that success. How much of it is a quote lucky break?
For me, lucky
with-
breaks,
you
you know
need-
what lucky breaks are?
Right.
Lucky breaks are somebody, for me, and this is what I've learned from, because I teach at colleges, universities, all over the country. I've done Tony Robbins type seminars. Acting for me is a spiritual process. It's not just a thing about acting. But I've learned that honestly, and I just forgot your question. What was the question you just said? What did you just say to me? I bet you forgot your question. What was it?
I was
Crap.
thinking of my next question.
You know, my tendency to go down, I start to go off on a tangent, and I lose my
Since
way.
I don't use my notes.
What was it?
I was asking you about how well-rounded.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
How well-rounded am I?
No. In terms of when you're teaching, do you tell your students you've got to know dance, you have
Yeah.
to know singing, you have to know.
What I do is I tell them, honestly, it's learning not only about all the contextual part of acting and performing, meaning, it's first of all, the biggest thing is you want to get all those areas that block you. You want to address it. You want to learn how to process and move through your fears, not push them away. You want to learn to start moving and facing your fears and learning how to stand up into it, and then learning how to really use all the talents you have. And then the biggest thing artists have to learn is the business side has to protect the artist side. Too many artists get taken advantage of and lose their way, make a lot of money, lose it, and end up with nothing. And I said, and by the way, I went through that process.
Yes.
So I teach actors, you've got to learn about money, about business, and let the business side protect that artist side of you. So I kind of give people a well-rounded approach to being an artist in this
When
world.
a young student comes to you, are you able to really know that they're going to be successful? Can you tell that? Or can somebody go in and not have the talent, but you can find the talent in them and become successful?
I have to say that one of the reasons I teach the way I teach is that I realize that 1% of actors tend to have a deep connection to their talent, and they're accessible to it, and they can step in there and do it. So many gifted, talented people, in fact, some of the most gifted people are the ones who are the most blocked. I can look at the ones who obviously not only have the talent, but they've got that tenacity, that commitment to make it. But I have learned to work with those people who have something in the way that are blocked, and to help them process through it, access more of their talent, and then step into the world and commit 100% to going where they want to go. Most people never commit 100%, 50% to anything in life. They're so afraid they're going to fail. So I've kind of learned from my own ups and downs and ins and outs how to stop running, how to get more present, how to face those fears, breathe into it, acknowledge it, let that energy work for you instead of against you, and then to start trusting that intuitive part of yourself to guide you. There's a part of us, like all artists, when you're dancing and moving, there's an intuitive moment-to-moment impulse that you learn how to follow.
Absolutely.
And in life, it's the same thing. It's kind of like a guidance center inside of you that when you learn to trust it, it leads you home, leads you to where you really want to
Well,
go.
obviously you're following what you preach because you've been very successful. In fact, you have you brought a few clips, and the first clip we're going to see is from Battlestar Galactica, which you were,
That's right.
your fame really came from
it's-
that, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's hard to go back. See, we actors have to learn. We got to live with ourselves through history. So we have to see the way we looked 40 years ago, and then we get to watch. On all these programs we're on, we get to watch ourselves get old.
You too.
Like what?
Yeah.
What happened,
It is,
Richard?
it's all documented.
I know.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I'm gonna before we see a clip,
I love
we've
this
got to
one.
show
Oh my
you
God.
this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Battlestar Galactica
Do you remember
album.
this, Richard?
Of
Richard,
course,
you
I
have-
remember that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you got the
I'm this one over here, the little guy.
we've got that, and
So
then
it's all the music
we
from
also
the
have.
show.
Here's a nice picture. There's a view. Look at
That's
that.
from Streets of San Francisco with Carl Mullen. I replaced Michael Douglas on the show.
And we have finally also this picture. Thanks to Jennie, our staff photographer, brought all these pictures.
That's a
with
great
her.
one.
One of the
is-
nicest men in history, Lauren Green.
Green.
Yeah, made everybody a family. I mean, brought everybody to his home, let everybody be a part of his family. Great man.
Okay, we're going to watch your clip.
Okay.
Okay, let's watch Richard Hatch in Battlestar Galactica.
There's no telling how long they've been in flight, and there's no telling whether they will ever reach their destination.
According to Dr. Salik, the power to their life support systems at the time we intercepted them was almost depleted, which could mean they were very close to their destinations.
Apollo, that's possible. But what if they're not?
It's a chance we have to take. Father, I believe this family is being directed to some planet unknown to us, where I believe we might find the answers we desperately need.
Suppose this were not a political situation. Suppose it were a military situation.
Commander.
That's right. If you think about it, these little beggars are the worst things we've seen since the Cylons.
That's right.
What?
They gunned down one of our security guards right in front of my very eyes.
He's perfectly all right. It was a stunning device. Starbuck, they are children.
Forgive me, Colonel, but I don't think you're getting into the spirit of the conversations. If it's dangerous, it's military.
And naturally, being military and dangerous, it would have to be reported to the council.
Naturally.
In the meantime, Starbuck and I will remove the fleet from any immediate danger by placing the hostile spaceship back on its original course.
Lord help us.
Your plan won't work unless we move quickly.
Before their spaceship exhausts the fuel that she has left.
Yes, it must be quickly. Go. Go with my blessings and the blessings of the Lords of Cobol.
Yes. Welcome back. We're with Richard Hatch.
What does that feel
How did
like,
I ever
Richard?
get through those lines?
I was actually watching you while you were watching the monitor. I was looking
That's
at
the
you.
Oh, yeah, what did you
fascinating
You
get?
were smiling. You were like seeing something like you didn't even recognize.
Well, I
really.
realized how little I knew about acting at that time.
Really?
Really, what did you?
No, it's so great.
What was wrong with what you saw?
No,
What did you
there's
see?
nothing wrong. But you know
Critical.
the
Be
hardest thing
critical.
for actors?
What?
Actors always come from a place of feeling like they need to do more. They need, they want to be really good, and so they push it. And the hardest thing for an actor to learn to do is to do less. Let go, trust,
Less is
be in the
more.
moment. And I realized that, I was just doing so much in that scene. I was
Acting.
really acting. And what they always say is that less acting, more experiencing. So, but it was
Right.
fine. Like, I enjoyed it. It's okay. As long as I
Great
have my
memories.
glasses on, I can't really
Oh,
see
that's
myself.
so funny. That's
Was
so
it-
funny.
Now you were doing a show a week, right?
We were doing, believe it or not, this was the biggest, most expensive production in TV history, and we had to do it in 7 days, but it took 10 to 12 days to film this show. Unlike any show in history, and one of the reasons we went off the air was that the budget was just way, way too high, and ABC had 7 out of the top 10 shows, and they didn't want to spend that much money. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no, I wanted to find out. There was
Interesting.
then like a sequel to
Well,
it.
because they made a mistake, they actually put Mork and Mindy on Sunday nights in place of us. And Mork and Mindy, even though it was successful, did not do as well as we did. And so they thought, we got to bring back Battlestar. Trouble was, they cut the budget in half, they brought the show to Earth, and then they asked us to do it. And I said, no. I said, it's no longer Battlestar Galactica. And I hate to say it, they ruined the show.
Interesting.
And how long
Yeah.
did that last? That show?
I think it was like 9 episodes or something.
Oh, really?
Like that.
Oh.
Yeah, they had
That's
one
it.
episode with Dirk Benedict on a planet. They never explored where Apollo went. Okay, he's probably stuck somewhere out in space on an asteroid.
Trying to get a ride somewhere.
Help me!
Well, I have a question about the streets of San Francisco.
Yeah.
After Michael Douglas left,
Right.
did you have to audition for that part, or was it handed to you?
Well, the funny part was, I've been very fortunate. I did a it was a canon, I think, with a very famous movie star actress, and I guested on the show, and Quinn Martin really liked me. Okay. And he came back and he had invited me to be on another one of his mini series and said, would I step in and be the cohort? And I had turned that down. And then when the part opened up with Michael Douglas, he said, would you be interested in this? And believe it or not, this is how idealistic I was. I go, well, I don't know. And so they brought me in to meet him. I sat down and talked with Quinn Martin, and essentially he said, look, he says, a third of the shows are Carl's, a third of the shows are yours, and a third of the shows were guest star shows. And my biggest concern was, I thought, I'm going to not get anything to do on this show,
Right.
Anyway, I took the shot, took the chance, and I must say, number one, it was terrifying. Number two, my girlfriend was in love with Michael Douglas, was really pissed off I was replacing him on the show.
Oh my
Seriously.
God. Oh, how
Was
funny.
that you, Todd?
No, it's not me.
And how could I live up
my
to
gosh.
Michael Douglas? And so I honestly, I was really terrified. And I went from living in a little hovel, Beverly Glen, to living in a mansion in Pacific Heights, San Francisco. And it was a big transition. And I had so much pressure on me, I could barely talk in the first 3 shows. I thought, they're going to fire me. And then I got to work with Michael Douglas on the transitional show. He came in for one, which was going to be the pilot, and essentially took me out to lunch and had a great conversation. I have to say, Michael was so nice to me and so supportive, and he really helped me kind of get over the hump of just relaxing, finding my own unique style and way to play the character. And after that, it started to even out, and everything was fine. I spent the 5th and final year on the show.
His father, Kirk, lives here.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Michael
that.
used to live here too.
I didn't know that.
But you are still very busy in the sci-fi world because you have like a Star Trek coming up.
Believe it or not, I've done a whole bunch of things. I just did a pilot with Malcolm McDowell, Steampunk, which is a futuristic retro type of thing called Cowboys and Engines, and that is about I play this cowboy that used to be a politician in 1887. He's heading into Dodge to take a cattle boat to Mars. That's how that retro futuristic thing works. And really, really actually cool. Steampunk is an incredible, very visual, Victorian style type of show. And then I just did a thing called After the Harvest with Vernon Wells, who was the bad guy in Mad Max. And I just finished doing a pilot for that. And then I did this incredible Star Trek indie, I want to call it Star Trek indie film because most of these films were fan films to begin with. Over the years, they've grown in expertise. They bring in more professionals. This one is the biggest, largest scoped, most expensive Trek production in history in terms of a Trek indie film. And I think it's going to actually set a precedent, and it's going to be a transitional thing in how Paramount deals with these fan films. And it's called Exonar, and I play a Klingon general, so you're going to get a little peek of me. Hope you recognize me.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's watch Exonar. Cool. Richard Hatch.
We are facing an enemy that is consumed and committed to our total destruction. But I say to you, our greatest challenge is not the might of a Klingon fleet. The greatest challenge laying before us is to do what must be done without undoing the dream of the Federation. The first goal was to create a class of ship that could spring Starfleet back into action, back into battle. It was the first pure warship that Starfleet had ever built.
Starfleet was never seen as a match for the Imperial Navy. Certainly not one that would impede the growth of the Empire. With the launch of their newer ships and the experience their commanders had gained, our progress was slowed.
Axanar was the bloodiest conflict in the Federation's short history. We didn't sign up to be warriors. That's not what Starfleet's about. We proved that we could do what we needed to do to defend the Federation.
For myself, I have but one fear: destroying the dream of the Federation. Compared to such a loss, I do not fear the Klingon Empire!
Tell me that's not cool.
That's so cool.
I mean, I got chills up my spine.
That's
watching
high
that.
quality.
And I'm a big Trek fan, by the way.
Oh,
I have to admit it. I'm a
so
Trek
am
fan.
I. So is my brother, who's here in the audience.
Oh, which one's your brother?
Right there. That's my
Oh,
brother.
really? Hey,
Robert.
hey, nice to see you, Robert.
I hope you're a fan of sci-fi. You've got to be. I mean,
look, I hate to say it. Not every.
I hope
Many
so.
actors are not sci-fi geeks, okay? But I have to admit, I am a geek, and I'm a sci-fi fan. I love visionary, intelligent science fiction. Seriously. And they've done very little of it. I thought Battlestar, honestly, was probably one of the best sci-fi shows ever done. Of course, I love the whole Trek world, universe. But I honestly think right now I'm watching Game of Thrones. And to me, Game of Thrones is probably the best written, best acted, best incredibly filmed, I think, sci-fi fantasy show in history.
Okay, this movie that we just showcased, the preview, it hasn't been made yet, to clarify. And you'll be in that.
Yeah, they're doing, just so you know, there's a whole new way where fans are starting to support the kind of programming they want to see. In past times, you've had many of your favorite shows go off the air because of some executive in a boardroom doesn't like it, or it doesn't fit their business model. These new films are being put up where fans can go on a Kickstarter campaign and give 10, 20, 30 bucks, and enough fans go in there, they can actually raise enough money to make these movies, make these projects, and they already raised a tremendous amount of money for Exnar, and this is just the prelude to Exnar, which is an intro into the world, the characters, and you just saw a sizzle reel of the prelude. The prelude is 20 minutes long, will be played at Comic-Con in San Diego in a movie theater, and then that will start the second phase of funding, where in the fall they're going to do the full movie, and they have not done ever an indie fan movie of the Star Trek world. So this is going to be something extraordinary. And everybody gets paid, and it's been an incredibly, like I said, the high level of skill and professional approach to the whole project has blown me away.
But it's an indie film, so it's not really like a Paramount.
Well, you know what they can't do? I mean, and believe me, this is going to change the face of, I think, programming. They cannot sell it, but everybody can get paid. But I do think a film like this, depending on how well it does, they could buy it, license it, and sell it, and actually do it that way, so it would go out and make money.
But it'll still be under the Star Trek license?
Yeah, it'll if they decide to sell it, they would, like I said, they would buy it and they would pay money and give a license to actually take it out there and show it. Probably either in movie theaters, or they might show it on cable or whatever. But see, there's new productions now being done online and not looking necessarily to be transferred to a cable channel. They want to stay online and actually monetize it online, and then let the fans determine the success, and not some executive in a boardroom. Let the fans determine what they want to see.
Yeah, here, yes. Absolutely.
It's all about the fans. I was going to ask you about the Comic-Con and all those huge, what do you call those events you go to and you sign and you meet your fans?
Well, you know, for me,
they're major.
My girlfriend at the time took me to a convention in 1995, and I was blown away. And these conventions used to be kind of sci-fi, very small, right?
Right.
And now they've become iconic. Now you have hundreds of thousands of people. They're all over the world, and you have fans from every show, not just sci-fi, fantasy, regular programming, and they become iconic in terms of the whole family can come. They've got multiple tracks of programming, and I come and I do seminars, I do workshops, I do acting seminars there, and I also do life workshops like Tony Robbins. So I'm always like motivating people because I just see too many talented, gifted people struggling. So again, it's an opportunity to travel the world, right? You get a chance to make money, and I hate to say it, people have been making money off of merchandising, off of us actors on these shows, and we never saw a penny from it.
Yeah.
We had merchandising deals, and we never saw anything. But now we go to these conventions, and people buy some of the merchandise, and they come up to sign it. So now at least we make something off of all that merchandising.
And you
so
enjoy
it's kind of a
seeing
nice
the fans
comeback
too at the same time, I imagine.
And not only that, but I am a fan. So guess what? Next to me, I remember, what was her name? Julie Bentz from Dexter. and Julie Benz from, I think, Buffy, and I was in love with Julie Benz. And I'm sitting there signing next to her, and I can't walk up to her to get a signature because I'm so
serious?
nervous.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
too nervous.
Oh, that's
so I'm walking
funny.
around thinking, how can I go up there? And I'm thinking she probably thinks I'm a stalker, because so I realize that we're all fans of somebody, right?
Sure.
Right.
And the minute we become the fan, then we become like a little kid. And all our little insecurities come up, so it was funny.
That.
I got to tell you something. I learned, we only have almost a minute left. You are a world champion thumb
Oh my God,
wrestler.
it's good. We'll have to do this fast.
Okay. We only have a short time.
By the way, really quick, there's only one rule. Only two rules.
What's the rule?
You can only go 180, and you can't pull out, okay?
Okay.
All right, so you don't have to be
Okay,
stuck
we're
here.
gonna go
So here we go.
1, 2, 3.
One,
Seven,
two,
five.
three, four.
What?
Wait, 1,
1,
2,
2,
3,
3,
4.
4.
I declare a thumb war on you. Bow, 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 bow. Okay, now we go.
Okay, here we go.
Oh!
He is good. Look at that.
That was less than a second. That's amazing.
I did not let the guest do that. That was quick.
Well, you know a little trick?
What's the trick? In
Trouble
30
is,
seconds,
it's like
tell me the
golf.
trick.
The harder you try it, the harder you push, the stiffer your thumb, right? You got to
Yeah.
learn how to relax the thumb, then you're very agile and you can move fast.
You
were trying so hard that your thumb just couldn't move it. See how you can't move it? Really, like strain. Really get tense. Now try to move your thumb fast. See how
It's hard.
it's stiff it is? Now relax. See how you can move it real fast?
Look at that.
It is all
Easy.
about the thumbs.
And
That is so
I thank
funny.
you. Thank you for
By the way,
teaching
that's a
us that.
metaphor for life.
Okay.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Thank
say
you.
real.
All right. Well, thank you. Come
Thank you
back
very
again.
much.
And
I
enjoy
will.
your time
Thank
in
you,
Santa
Richard.
Barbara.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you,
All right.
sweetheart.
Wow. Well, that's it for another edition of Ken Boxer Live. We'd like to thank you for watching. And of course, be sure to tune in to our next show as we have actor Patrick Cassidy joining us here live in our studios. And by the way,
my God.
next month, the original Catwoman, the former Miss America Lee Merriweather, will be gracing our stage as well. Well, that's it for another edition of Ken Boxer Live. So for my guest, Richard Hatch, and for my co-host, Ty Babilonia, and for my director, George Montalvo, and the entire KBL crew, I'm Ken Boxer saying that Ty and I will be seeing you next time on Ken Boxer Live. Good night, everybody.
Ken Boxer Live is brought to you by the following sponsors. DCH Lexus of Santa Barbara, providing Santa Barbarans and surrounding locations with prestigious luxury cars, SUVs, and hybrid vehicles. Palazzio Restaurant, where people don't leave hungry or thirsty. Real estate agents Julie Barnes and Jeff Oien, Village Properties Realtors. American Riviera Bank, feel good about your bank. Wendy Foster, Santa Barbara and Montecito's premier clothing store. Harborview Inn, welcome to Santa Barbara's premier 4-diamond luxury boutique oceanfront hotel. The Rosa Inn, let us pamper you in international style. And by Taffy's Pizza, delivery, pickup, or dine in. Los Arroyos Mexican Restaurant, takeout. Perfect Computers, your local computer experts since 1990. Local sales, service, superior support 24/7. Rubicon Theater Company, not your typical season, not your typical theater company. Summer Lee, makeup artist, stylist, and esthetician.